Okay, so far we have seen some search algorithms. After considering that agents are the core of AI. Okay, so you need some black box kind of thing which will understand whatever data we are talking about, which will convert this data into an understandable format and represent to this agent, and depending upon the data and depending upon the requirement, this will perform an action. Okay, so this is what we have been talking about. So we talked about some simple agent, utility based agent, reflex agent, etc. Some 4 or 5 types of agents are there, model based agent, etc. Now for doing this action and for carrying out this action and ensuring that the actions are all carried out in some particular fashion or the other, you need to do some kind of a search algorithm. Okay, so for example, we talked about this vacuum cleaner example where you try to go over a particular square block of a house and then try to pick up dirt, okay, sequentially. Okay, so how does it basically move in order to get the dirt cleared? Okay, or supposing, so this is one way, or alternately, can it just go in random and then try to pick up the dirt? Okay, so that what does it basically require? Now all these require some kind of a search strategy, and that is what we were talking about. Okay, and take for example another scenario, so where you talk about automatic Google News. Okay, all of you here, I mean, I don't know how many of you have this Google News on your mobile. How many of you have? Please answer. Don't raise hand. I cannot see you. None of you. None of you do. None of you see Google News.
It will come by default. It will come on the notifications.
Okay.
It will come from Google app.
Have you seen that changing?
Yes, ma'am. Like it will ask preferences and all.
Okay.
Like it will say, do you like this or not? So if you like means it will give more related content.
Okay. So you have used it, Anirudh. Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, ma'am.
Kailash, then?
Ma'am, I only scroll through Google Chrome's that main like that initial screen that comes in the phone.
You don't click any news article.
Sometimes I do, ma'am, like very rarely.
Okay. Advai Swami?
Yes, ma'am, me too. I use it.
You just scroll through. You don't click on the news.
Ma'am, I do click on some news. Yeah, if I find it
Click on
interesting.
some news.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, have you guys observed some? I got some 4 answers. Have you guys observed after you click on a particular news, does your news feed change?
Like the next time we open the app, it gives more similar content.
Okay. Similar content, right? Anybody else have observed anything other than whatever these people have said? Or are you guys having breakfast? Okay. Fine. So let us move on. Now, what happens here? Now, who organizes this Google News? Who organizes this Google News?
Some algorithm probably.
Some algorithm only. So you are sure that no human intervention is there in this Google News feed, right?
Yes, ma'am. Like they might have actually, they might ask them to review it, but most of the cases it will pull it from the internet.
It is not. I mean, it's not a life or death scenario, right? So even if they're going to give you some extra news or they're going to not give you some news, it is not going to be a major problem. So no human sits in, there is no human intervention in giving you Google News. My point now precisely is, say for example, you give some preferences. So you give say sports, and then you give say ML, AI as your choice, and then you probably give central government, okay, or US universities. Okay, some choices initially you give, and you methodically click on these articles only. Okay, and it will try to push these articles in the front compared to all other articles. It will have some more news also, because it wants to find out how whether you are interested or not interested, or maybe your interest and preferences might change or not change. That could be your that could be the expectation. So it probably tries to, if you click on these articles, for sure they will be appearing in the top. Okay, and then if they are clicking on, if you are clicking on some other options, that will come down. Supposing after you join a US university, and say take for example JEE Main. Okay, you have been watching all news about JEE Main, and suddenly after joining a particular institution you stop watching this. Now you start ignoring these messages if after some particular period of time. So these messages will be pushed down. Okay, so what kind of a search do you think can probably happen here? It is going to search these articles, and it is going to rank and give you those articles. I'm not talking about, we have not spoken about ranking as of now, but what happens? So what search could you probably use in order to get these articles right up front? We have seen some search algorithms already. So, or do you think that there is a necessity for a search algorithm all here? Or is my question clear first of all?
We could just tag the articles with respective categories.
I said, okay, you can stack. What search you probably would find out? Anybody else? Or is my question clear or it's not clear?
It's clear now.
Okay, question is clear. Thank you. Then. Or do you think in the first place that there will be a search algorithm? There has to be obviously a search algorithm, right? It can search on the indexed article, or it can search on the title of the article itself. Okay. So can it do a depth limited search? Because I don't want to pull all articles pertaining to central government or sports to you. I just want to give you the recent articles. So time can be my limit, depth limit. I don't want to go beyond 1 day. I don't want to go beyond 2 days. That could be my depth limit. So I will just look at the top articles. And even in sports, I just generically said sports. Supposing you are interested in cricket only, and you have clicked only cricket articles, you will be given only cricket articles pertaining. And supposing you have probably given, you have viewed more cricket articles pertaining to Indian cricket, then you will be pushed only Indian cricket articles. So what will be your, so one example is probably a depth limited search, or it could do a local beam search where it can carry out things in parallel and then try to push all those articles in some order or the other. We already said local beam search, which is it will do k things in parallel. These are your k points actually, and it will do a depth limited search there. So you can do a combination of these two. That will be your one more search strategy. Okay, it is not going to obviously go for an A-star search, or because there is no concept of time is the only concept. There is no concept of optimization or something like that. It has to just pick up pull up some news articles and give it to you. So you can probably think of this as a depth limited search or a local beam search, which is trying to get you the articles. Let us take one more example before we move on. Okay, can you give me one more example from social media or whatever?
Feed, man, like where posts from different people get appears on the
News feed in Facebook, huh? Okay.
YouTube.
Ma'am, ads.
Huh?
Ads.
Advertisements in Facebook or YouTube, okay?
YouTube recommendation.
YouTube recommendations, okay?
And suggestions in Instagram.
Beg your pardon?
Like suggestions in Instagram.
Suggestions in Instagram. Suggestions in any way. Any suggestions in Insta or FB. Okay. Then. Nothing works like social media. Only social media examples. Good, good. I'm not pulling your leg. Okay, I'll say LinkedIn. Nobody follows LinkedIn. So I say
product
LinkedIn.
recommendation in e-commerce apps.
I'll 1 minute, yeah, 1 minute, just a minute. I heard you. I'll get it cleared from you. Employers looking for good resumes, matching their criteria. Product recommendation, right?
Yes, ma'am. From like e-commerce apps like Amazon.
Product recommendation in e-commerce. Okay, then. No, it's not enough that you give all these topics alone. You have to tell me what search you will probably use, knowing so many search techniques. Yeah. Now let us, okay, I think 6 examples is fair enough. Let us try to do this. Newsfeed in Facebook. What will happen? What do you think probably could be your search strategy?
Similar to that
Similar
one,
to
like
Google.
depth limited.
Okay, depth limited search or local bean search. Something will probably happen. Okay. So similar. Okay, because it's news feed again. Then advertisements in FB.
Ma'am, ads also you can probably say the same, right?
It is the same, but there is no harm in pushing you more advertisements, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
that will probably be a random search.
Oh, yes.
Because it will definitely give, okay, I'll give you the scenario. It will definitely give you advertisements related to whatever were your pages, whatever advertisements you have already clicked. Okay. And it will also push you more advertisements. So can you think of this as an iterative deepening search or a best first search combination? Will work better.
Oh, yes.
No, you should not accept that simply. You should probably argue or defend. So these two will probably work better. Okay. Somebody said suggestions in Insta or Facebook that can be similar to advertisements, but with a different set of parameters. Okay. For search. Product recommendation in e-commerce. What search?
I think randomized loop.
Huh?
Like randomized based on the previous purchases and searches.
What about simulated annealing or hill climbing? What about these two search? Will it be applied to any one of these, whatever we have discussed so far? Examples? You are searching, okay. All computer programs does only 2 things. One is searching, other one is sorting, and it is easier to search on a sorted sequence. Okay, so that is what is precisely doing, but we are looking at all possible search strategies. Okay, YouTube recos. Product recommendation, somebody said some randomization, and so can I use hill climbing for product recommendation? I should not be giving you random products, right? I should be focused on giving you some products. So can I say hill climbing or stochastic hill climbing based upon some? It is not best first. It's first. It is from the available set of products. I can kind of give you. I can suggest you what products you can buy. I can use hill climbing or I can even use simulated annealing. But simulated annealing is not going to be very useful because you are not going to do a downhill. What about YouTube recos? YouTube recommendations.
Iterative deepening.
Iterative deepening, right, fine. Similar to advertisements, etc. Then employers looking for good resumes. Can I use best first search here? Or A star? Because I'm focused. I want a good resume. Okay, I don't want to how much of experience has this person got compared to how much of an experience. I have to do some kind of a comparison, right? So you cannot think of this as a distance, but you can think of this as which resume is better compared to the, I mean, I have some 10 or 15 resumes matching the same kind of qualification, education qualification. I wanted to weigh them and then try to go ahead. So can I do A star or a best first search or both, a combination of these two? What will happen? What can be your heuristic function there?
Something related to experience and the tech stacks that we are looking for.
Experience, then skill set.
In the languages that we are looking for.
Okay, experience, skill set, I said. So, I mean, it could be any field, right? So I just said simply skill set. Languages, not only programming, it could be anything, right? It could be any industry looking for alternate. So skill set. So this could be your heuristic function in order to get your best employee, best human resource from which employers might probably be looking for. So all these searches have a variety of application in your day-to-day activity. It is just not that you don't, it is just that you don't call it by that name and then do a search, but all, okay, do you agree first? All the algorithms that you see on the day-to-day basis, say hashtag sarcasm, then top ranking feeds in Twitter. Okay. Now all these will basically be looking at some form of search or the other. Okay. It is not going to be very straightforward in the sense it is whatever you see like your social media data, your day-to-day activity, your mobile apps. Okay. How is it basically listed, ranked? Yeah, this video is a problem. It's stuck. So whatever you do, basically, it's doing only search. Okay. So try to map whatever products you do from today onwards, whatever products you encounter, whatever application you encounter from today onwards, see if you could do a mapping with say your search technique. Okay. So which search will you basically use? You can have a combination of search also. You can say I'm going to design my own search, which is a combination of two already existing search techniques. That is also a possibility. Okay. It is just that the you call it as a goal state, you call it as a start state only for some convenience. But typically speaking, anything is going to be, I mean, in hill climbing, we said, right, choose a random start state. Now, if you think of advertisements or YouTube recommendations, it is going to take a random start state and it's start going to find advertisements or YouTube video recommendations or audio recommendations for you. Okay. So that is what is the random start state we are basically referring to. Product recommendation, all those will basically do some kind of a search and the listing is what is based upon some logic. Okay, so you should try to visualize that. Can you think of any other example other than social media? all those traveling salesperson problem and say N Queen's problem and all is typical backtracking, and you have to do a search. So that is okay. That is typically applied in your real life product recommendation, etc. I just directly asked you, how do you go from the product recommendation, which search will you basically apply? I skipped the computer science mapping. Okay, I just directly asked you what search will you use for product recommendation, what search will you use for e-commerce recommendation, etc. Okay, so I mean that is accepted, but any other example can you think of?
Ma'am, like you said, like you could use Google Maps as an example.
Google Maps, okay. Google Maps can use A star without any problem. Okay, then
Food ordering apps, it will give you the closest restaurant based on the rating and all.
I didn't hear you properly, Pa. Can you repeat it?
Like there are apps like Swiggy right now, like in which they will sort the restaurants based on their closeness and their relative rating.
Very good, very good. All these food ordering apps.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Swiggy, Zomato, etc. Okay, then the individual restaurant also, the app does something even at the fine grain level. The individual restaurant which you try to order, even there it tries to prioritize, it tries to, of course it remembers, that's all. It doesn't, it puts it in memory and then shows it to you. Now what is that search going to be? Can I think of that? It's similar to newsfeed because I have clicked only those restaurants more frequently than other restaurants. So can I think of that as newsfeed as well?
Yes, ma'am. Something similar to that.
Yeah, something similar to that I can basically think of.
But newsread, it will give related articles, but here it should give the same restaurant right now.
Yeah, a variation of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So those searches are typically you can use informed search because uninformed search you do not know the goal. So you can typically use informed search, or you can basically use this local search like local beam or say hill climbing or simulated annealing or genetic algorithm is probably too much for social media content analysis. But excuse me. So now, in order to do games, okay, in order to work with games, I need a complete different strategy of search techniques. Okay, and that is what is the next topic going to be, which is called as adversarial search or game-based search. Okay, adversarial search or game-based search. Now, this is very important because AI was introduced primarily for okay, now I wouldn't say primarily for games, but the moment AI was introduced, people wanted to have design gaming software. Okay, so that is what they were more concerned about. So this book talks about some 4 or 5 game strategies. The first one being checkers. The other one is chess. The third one is Pac-Man, and the last one is called as Go game. Okay, I don't know how many of you know this Go game and Pac-Man.
You have played Pac-Man.
So you have played Pac-Man. Okay, fine. Go game.
I've heard of it that it has white and black coins, and they have to place the coins on intersection, and the one that covers the most number of intersections at the end of the game wins.
Okay, right, fine.
Only an
So
overlay.
I'll just show you the game board. And Pac-Man is what we have been talking about, like I mean the witch attacking the other person, kind of. It's a video game series basically. Okay, so the argument is first one is checkers. Checkers is a very simple, primitive game which is probably poor man's chess. Okay, so it has got only 2 coins, limited number of moves where moves are there. So you need to attack the other person. You can move only diagonally. I think checkers you would have played, right? Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
Oh, you do not know checkers, huh? Okay, fine. I assumed that you know checkers. Because I used to play a lot earlier, now I have stopped. That's what I said. Poor man's chess, because I am bored with, I was bored with chess at one particular point or the other. So I'll just show you those 3 games before we actually, for people who have not seen that, then we will move on to the actual content. Okay, so this is checkers. Okay, it has got red and white coins. Yeah, this is checkers. Actually, you have to move only diagonal direction, and if you can just move diagonally any number of squares. For example, there is a coin here, there is a coin here, there is a, I mean, there should be a blank spot here, and supposing you have a coin here, you can skip this and go here, and this coin is basically out. Okay, and you can do multiple clearance of coins in 2 steps. For example, look at this particular board. You can go from here to here, okay, and then from here to here, and then you can reach this point, because this spot is also empty. So once you reach the other opponent, it is called as a I'm going to come back to checkers in machine learning also. That's why I'm explaining this. So you can you are crowned as a king. Okay, so a king can move any number of squares. Okay, not only one, and any number of squares to cut another coin. Okay, so that is the aim, and so the final person is declared as a winner is one where you have only your coin and the other opponent coin is not there, or the opponent coin is not able to make a move. So that is checkers, and this is your Go game. So somebody said you have white coins and black coins, and you have to place such that you have to cover the maximum region. Okay, so that is called as the Go game. So this is, I mean, there is not much of a logic in order to play, but there is of course some standard way in which you play in order to cover maximum number of area, and you have a large covering of the area. So that is what is this Go game. Black and white, it's a 2-player game again. And if you look at say Pac-Man, it's a video game kind of. So this we already saw, right? So this is Pac-Man game. So where it's a maze kind of, like you have to clear this spot and go from one corner to the other corner, such that you do not get attacked by these witches. Okay, so that is your Pac-Man game. Now these 3 games, these 4 games, chess all of you know. So we are not talking about chess here. Okay, so these 4 games were designed to be played with an AI software, and that is the history here. So checkers, 1950, first computer player was designed. 1994, first computer champion was there. This person ended 40-year reign of human champion Marion Tinsley using complete 8-piece endgame. So 2007 checkers was solved. So this was the strategy. And chess, we already know Deep Blue defeats human champion Garry Kasparov in a 6-game match in 1997. So it examined the 200 million positions per second. Now that is the advantage of a AI machine. That is, if you have the enough computing power, you can probably predict all moves prior, much in advance. Okay, you can have your complete state space formulation and then try to go in the direction such that it is going to maximize your winning chance. That's what is chess basically. So it is, current programs are even better. So that is what is the next game. Okay, it is till it has come to expert level, and Go is human champions are now starting to be challenged by machines. In Go, value B greater than 300. Classic programs use pattern matching, pattern knowledge basis, but big recent advances uses Monte Carlo expansion methods. So this is Go game. That is the placing above, placing white and black coins such that you can cover the maximum region without the other person getting any space to place their coin. The last one is Pac Go. Alpha Go defeats human champion, uses Monte Carlo tree search, and it's learned using the learned evaluation function. The last one is Pac-Man. It is still not been beaten, but I mean it's going on. You cannot call it as an expert. It is as good as human or whatever. So it is still going on. So these games are called as adversarial games. Okay, you think of the opponent party as an expert, and the opponent party thinks you as an expert, and so it is trying to play with each other. So they are called as adversarial games, and the strategies are typically called as game search strategies. So you have different types of games. The games can be deterministic games, or it could be stochastic games. Okay. So, or you can have 1, 2 or more player game. There's something called as a zero-sum game, and there is something called as a perfect information game. So you can, we will be talking about perfect information and imperfect information, perfect and imperfect. Both we will be seeing as we move on to the next thing. So you need algorithms for determining the strategy to win the game by making corresponding suggestions on what is going to be the next move. So again, it calls for search. Okay, there is going to be a search because you are going to completely build the state space formulation, or not completely. You will probably build a partial state space formulation. And how do you decide which state space formulation should be formed, which will not be, which need not be explored? All those things you should basically know, and you should go from the starting point to the goal state. The goal state will basically be one of the winning scenarios. Okay. So this is going to be your strategy. You have to go from here to here. So in order to go from here to here, you will probably have some kind of a search strategy, and that search strategies are called as adversarial search, or otherwise it is called as game search. Okay. So this zero-sum games are also called as perfect information games. We'll come back to that in a minute. So deterministic games are one in which you have many possible formalizations, and I mean, it has to be deterministic. You should know the next move depending upon the current move only. You cannot do random moves. Okay, if you do random moves, you'll probably be losing it. So your aim is to win. So you have to have some calculation, and you decide the next move based upon the current move. So you cannot randomly move. Okay. So in order to do that, you have the following terminologies. First one is called as the states. Okay. A set of states S is there. It starts with S0 and finally goes to the goal G. And you can have players. Players can be 1 to n. Typically, it is a 2-player game, but it can also have n-player game. And they take turns alternately in order to play the game. And the actions, it may depend on player or the state. So whether to move this, whether to move a coin, or whether to cut, or whether to move in which direction, all those could be your actions basically. And these actions will return a set of legal moves. Set of legal moves. After making an action, this will return a set of legal moves. So in this, they take states and players, and this will define which player can move now. Okay, and there is going to be a transition function. The transition function is is called as also the result. Okay, it is a result of S comma A, and the transition model defines the result of a move. After making this particular move, what will happen? It will go to another state. So S cross A to S, that is your transition function. And the terminal test you have to make after making every action, which is the terminal test S says, have I reached the final state or the goal state? Okay, that is what it basically do. So the terminal test is basically, it is true, it is set to true. This is true or false. So if it is set to true when the game is over, and it is set to false if the game is not over. Okay. And then you have terminal utilities here, which is called as a utility function, which is S cross P to R. Now S cross P is what? S is your state and P is your player. So if from this particular state, if depending upon whichever player makes a move, that will decide upon the utility function, which is going to be actually the result R. So this utility function is very important. The utility function is called as an objective function typically. Okay, the utility function is called as an objective function or a payoff function. It defines the numeric value for a game. Okay, now all these games have got now numbers. So depending upon whether a person A wins or person B wins, or it is going to be a draw, you give the utility function value accordingly. So for example, typically in a game of chess, okay, in a game of chess, the utility values or utility function is going to be +1 or 0 or half. +1 is this person wins, 0 is the other person wins, and half is it's going to be a draw. Okay, and there are also other games called as zero-sum games. Now zero-sum games, the utility function value turns out to be a 0. So where you can have the payoffs as 0, +1 and -1. So this is called as zero-sum games. Okay, so if you I win +1, you lose -1. Okay, that will result in a total sum of 0. Alternately, if it's a draw, we anyway get a 0 as the sum. So here, zero-sum games is the total payoff results in a 0 value. Total payoff or the total utility value results in a 0 value. Total payoff is 0. Okay, so chess is also chess can also be considered as a zero-sum game. If you try to put it as +1, -1 and 0. If this is going to be your objective function value for the chess game, you can basically get this also as a zero-sum game. So in a zero-sum game, agents have opposite utilities, that is +1 and -1 like this. And you can think of a single value that one maximizes and the other minimizes. So if you try to maximize this value from say 0 to +1, the opponent will try to minimize the value 0 to -1, totally resulting in a payoff value as 0. This is called as zero-sum games, and this has the characteristics of an adversarial property, and it is pure competition oriented game. The other one is called as the constant sum game or general game. Zero-sum game and constant sum game. In the constant sum game, what happens is it is a general game where the total payoff is not going to be zero-sum. It is any other number which is going to be maximizing a particular value or not. Okay, so that is going to be the constant sum games. So where the agents have independent utilities, values on the outcome. So cooperation, indifference, competition and more are all possible in the case of general games. So you can try to cooperate in order to make the other person win or make the other person lose, or you can say, okay, let us try to get to a draw, etc. So that is called as a constant sum game, or it is called as generally general games. Now we will be seeing an example which is going to be known to everybody, the tic-tac-toe game, because the tic-tac-toe game is chosen so that your visualization is slightly easier compared to other games. Okay, so this is what we talk about as adversarial search. So you try to think of what the other person is thinking. I mean, this guy thinks what is this guy thinking, which in turn thinks what is this guy thinking, and he's also thinking what he will be thinking about me, because that is what is called as adversarial search. So chess games, as you can probably think, if you have played chess, okay, you would probably make a move assuming that if I move in this particular direction, the opponent will move in an opposite direction. Okay, the opponent will make how will that impact the move made by the opponent? That is what you normally say. Sometimes we will miss that particular, all combinations will be missed by us. Therefore, you end up making a wrong move, or the other person ends up making a wrong move. Tic-tac-toe, sometimes you have no choice but to place your X or O in a spot, and there will be one more spot for the other person to make a move, and then that person can win. So adversarial games or adversarial search are basically strategies in which you will be thinking about what the opponent will basically do if you try to make this particular search. Okay, so that was missing in the earlier algorithms like local search or uninformed search or informed search strategies. You never thought about the opponent. Now this is actually a game theory concept. So you will try to make a move such that the opponent is basically going to be making a move after yours, and you have to ensure that you will win at any particular point of time. Okay, so that is going to be a strategy. You can think of Indian traditional games like I don't know whether how many of you know this game. I do not know. It's called Pallanguri in Tamil. I do not know how many of you know that game. It's a wonderful strategy game. Okay, or you can try Age of Empires. Microsoft famous Age of Empires game. Okay, so you can try one of these games to find out how it is going to be moved. So here in how many of you know this Pallanguri or this I mean, I don't know what they call it in other language. It's called Dayam. So it will be like this.
Ludo.
And Ludo. Yeah, Ludo. Right. A Ludo is very simple actually, but this is Ludo. You can just start the game without even putting. You can just roll your die and start dice basically. Okay, dice. So how do you play dice? So if you make this move, what will happen? Who will try to cut you? So all those things will have to be will have to be thought before you make a move. But of course, you don't have a choice sometimes to make a move. Okay. So similarly, I don't know how many of you know this game.
Heard of it, but I don't know how it's played.
Okay, fine.
Ma'am, I do. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you can think of what search you will probably use. This is a typical adversarial search game. These two especially. Of course, checkers are also the same thing. Chess is also a very good adversarial search game. That is why when Vishwanath and Anand and when humans play, they take hours together to make one move, because they would be calculating the complete state space tree before they make the move. So in adversarial search, you can try to construct a single agent tree. Okay. So you visualize that you will make this particular move, and you can try to construct this state space tree completely, and then you try to have some kind of a utility value here. Now this is the utility value after you basically go from here to here. 2 might be winning or 6 might be winning or 0 might be losing. I do not know. So you construct the complete tree and then try to retrace your path in order to assign nodes, assign values to these particular nodes. Okay, so it's called as a single agent tree. You construct the single agent tree with a perspective that only one person is going to be winning. So when I win, obviously the other person loses. So I have to construct the tree with from one person's viewpoint. Okay, so that you can construct the tree easily, so that you can construct the tree easily with a good utility function value. So that is what happens in the adversarial search techniques. So the values assigned to a state basically depends upon what is going to be the leaf node's value. Okay, so you come all the way, you construct the complete state space tree, you know the leaf node here, you assign a value to this particular leaf node, and then you backtrack all the way, okay, level by level in order to assign values to each of these intermediate nodes. So that is what we're going to do here in min-max algorithm. So the value of a state is the best achievable outcome from that particular state, again from the winning person's perspective. Again from the winning person's perspective and not generic perspective. Okay. So the terminal states, the value is already known, and from that value only you have to basically backtrack. So this is a terminal state. Terminal states are one from where you declare a true or a false value. So this is a winning board position. That is what is called as a terminal state. So we will assign for non-terminal states, you will assign the value to maximize the winning scenario. Okay, and we will see how that is done using an algorithm called as Minimax algorithm. I'm stopping here. You will see Minimax algorithm with respect to this is Pacman. I will take this tic-tac-toe example itself. That is easier to understand Minimax algorithm better. So we'll do this in the next class. In the meantime, have you submitted the assignment yesterday? Sorry, today? Have you done?
Can we submit by tomorrow?
Why? Okay, I will consider. No problem. I'll give it as
We're
tomorrow.
trying. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Ma'am, I have a question actually about the assignment.
Yeah.
So I didn't get the part about extended to n jugs. Is it like we can have any quantity, any capacity in the jugs?
Yes. Okay. You had 3 jugs. I have measured the quantity. Okay, I want you to measure what 1 liter, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So supposing if you have some 5 jugs, how do you measure 1 liter from 5 jugs? What denominations will you basically use?
Oh, okay. Or is it like given some 5 jugs, we have to try to make 1 liter, or we need to find out the 5 jugs?
5 jugs with measuring quantity is given. Okay. So you have to measure 1 liter from the 5 jugs. You can decide on the number. That number should be known to you. Supposing if it is 20, the other one should sum up to 19. The remaining 4 jugs should sum up to 19. So you have to, you should ask the capacity from the user and how many jugs they want. So that could be your first, user in the sense it need not be interactive or anything of that nature. So you have to, you can code it prior, and then you can try to use that for determination. You need not determine what will result in a difference of 1. That is not your criteria. Your criteria is to measure 1 liter. That's all.
Yes, ma'am, got it.
Okay. Okay, yeah, thanks. Let us meet next Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, yeah, all of you. Thanks.